Morning. Morning all. Hope you're well. Fadil, great to have you back. Appreciate that, mate. Leon, how you doing? Good morning. If you're in, say hello. Curly fries. How you doing, buddy? How do you like some curly fries? Trying to lose a bit of weight, so um, better not eat as much. Is the sound clear? I just worry that it's coming out my camera and not my microphone. But if you're saying sound is good, that's good. Morning, Ash. Testing. Does it sound like it's coming out here? Testing, testing, testing. Yes, no, yes, no. Anyway, yes, okay, thanks, Ash. Appreciate it. All right, let's get into it. The markets today. What do we think about the markets today? We are obviously coming off a little bit. Um, there's sometimes I think in trading, you can give your biases, etc. But I mean, let's open out to you guys. Where do we think we're going? It looks as if we're not going to breach and get up to these areas. Certainly a down day yesterday. We could then do this and come back up. I have to be honest with you in terms of where we're going right now, the next week or so. I have no idea. I literally have no idea. We could then say, well, we failed to breach the highs. We're creating a lower low. Simple kind of basic Dow theory from here. Lower low, we continue down, but then that doesn't really fly because we've created a higher high here. Primary, secondary, tertiary trend, all that kind of technical stuff. It's not clean. It's not clean. So I still do like where the weekly is, I have to say. We've still got 2 more days before this weekly closes. This is maybe the best place to look at it. This is still looking okay for me, but we can't discard what we're seeing. Obviously, the ultimate primary trend is to the downside. But as I said, sometimes you just don't know. For me, sometimes I feel like I just don't resonate with this market right now. And I have to say, I don't really know where we're going. So let me know is what your guys' bias is. Do you think we're gonna head on down? Do you think we're gonna break from here, or do you think this is gonna rally and kind of push on? But I'll be honest, it is certainly slight risk off today. I'm not gonna go full blown risk off because we've not broken any major anchors or major support or resistance zones or support zones. But we have had a decent move down, and we can't ignore this. We certainly can't ignore this. So seems to be that it's a bit risk off in nature. Aussie's weakening off. Kiwi commodities are weakening off. Let's see. The dollar today. The dollar's another one. I'm probably a little bit more comfortable saying, maybe because I'm in this NASDAQ trade, which I'll go into in a second, but comfortable with maybe a little bit of downside action in the stock market. But with this dollar, we are getting support here. We're trying to break the lows. We have done 2 or 3 times, and buying pressure has come in. Fundamentally, I do think dollar should be strong, but technically, it's still not telling me that it wants to push. Yeah, okay, we've had a decent bar here coming with increased volume, right? There is certainly some volume on this rejection bar. Technically, it's not really a hammer, but it's certainly a rejection. So are we still going to get back up here and then let the market make a decision for us? Would I be comfortable buying the dollar right now? If you're aggressive, then maybe. But I wouldn't put my eggs in that basket just yet for dollar strength. Fundamentally, I do think dollar should be strong. But again, there's no follow through yet. So I would still consider looking at this area, seeing if it pulls back there. And then again, letting the market tell me what it wants to do. It's not giving me any information really these last couple of days. We could be just correcting through time, letting that 20 catch up before we take another leg to the downside. That could well be on the cards, and that's probably the path of least resistance, right? But whether we do that, it could be a couple more days of rangy price action before that happens. So yeah, it's a difficult one right now. I have to say, I've got no resonance with this market, and I'm okay being in the trade I am in this NASDAQ trade. So NASDAQ 100 from an aggressive entry point of view, that for me is an aggressive entry all day. You know, we're obviously on that downtrend from a weekly perspective where we've got that dynamic resistance to our trade in the form of that 200 weekly in 20. I know we've had some bullish pressure coming up here, but from an overall trading perspective, I'm okay shorting the Nasdaq here, and I have my higher time frame confluence. So the entry, I go into my entry, very simple entries. I'm obviously very simplistic in my approach to trading. We've got our catalyst here coming on increased volume. We've got our first structure here. We could look at this as our right shoulders and our head and shoulders. Overall trend is the downside. Nice pullback, nice digestion from this latest move. And again, catalyst the entry, increased volume, outside bullish engulfer. I'm happy to take that down, and hopefully we do move down to these lows where I can potentially look at a breakout if we do come down again. With my aggressive entry, the premise of it is obviously we're getting an aggressive entry into a breakout order. So the premise is that we break underneath these lows. Now, as soon as we break underneath this area, my stop goes to break even, which again, we should get down to potentially 2R down here and a little bit more. So the risk reward on these trades is quite good. The win rate is reduced from my breakout. That's your kind of normal statistics for any kind of strategy. Increased win rate, likely have a lower payoff. Lower win rate, you're likely to have an increased payoff. So with my breakouts, or certainly my breakouts last year, I had a bit more of a higher win rate, but the payoff was quite low because we're having 4-hour stops, etc. I've kind of changed that with my new trade management, so I'm trying to increase that payoff. And also, at the same time, keeping that win rate roughly constant. That's what I've been doing with my trade management back testing or forward testing. So it'll be interesting to see what the results are for this year on that. But essentially, that's what your basic algorithm is for strategies. So Nasdaq short, I kind of like. Hopefully come back down here, and we go from there. So Nasdaq currently in. It would be very nice for a winner. But I wouldn't be surprised if this pushed on because we've seen that flip-flop nature. But I've just got to stick to what I know best, and that's my strategy, and just continue executing it without emotions. Even though I'm relatively bullish on the S&P, sorry, I keep moving my hand around here. Even though I'm relatively bullish on the S&P, it doesn't mean I'm not taking this trade. Again, getting that emotions out of it and just executing and trading is about 1,000 trades, not one. Okay, watch this today. Remember, jump in the chat if you want me to look at anything or any questions. USD SEC is the first one. So USD SEC I was looking at, or I did take the breakout, the one that got away with. But we're on here for a potential breakout retest, which is quite nice. I still like the higher time frames. I really like the higher time frames from a daily perspective, from a weekly perspective. This is nice to me. So that ticks the boxes. 4 hour, we're getting into this this nice steady state retest. So we've got our area here, we've got our V reversal. Within that, we've got our head and shoulders to digest this quite impulsive move to the downside. So we've got that nice digestion. We've got our moving averages above price action. We're getting our steady state retest. We're getting lowering volume during that retest as well. Yes, we had some reactionary 4 hour here, which is relatively bullish. However, we seem to have digested that and making our way back up to this area. So all I'm looking for now is a reason to enter, the RTE. So that 20 period coming down, I would say, what are we now, 11:30, so this closes at 2. It may be one for US today, potentially, if it does set up. Potentially one for the next 4 hour. If I get a nice outside bullish engulfer, hammer bar, whatever it is, that kind of simple candlesticks patterns on an uptick in volume, which you'd probably expect to get as we've just had Asia opening up into London and US, to take that to the downside. So USD SEC potential shorts looks okay to me. You can see that complex corrective coming in on smaller time frames, right? So A, B, and potentially we're up here looking at C. Again, it's just going with the trend. So USD SEG potential shorts, I kind of like. Euro Yen, breakout retest, smaller time frames. Getting our V reversal back. I'm not sure if Martin's here, but that USD Yen we were looking at, and I think a few of the other Yens, did indeed do what we thought it did, right? And there is, I mean, is that... Got your quite large V reversals here. Trend is still okay. But yeah, remember, I'm not sure if you're here, Martin, but remember we talked about this pullback. So when it got down to really this bar, you would be worried certainly about trend continuation of there. That's when I would be looking at, okay, this looking like a V reversal. Again, overall bias and overall trend is to the downside. And you see this happen a lot. So, what was I looking at? Euro Yen, V reversal here. Hello Ryan, TP hit TP1 on Euro CAD, trailing stop loss on second trade up just above 3R. Well done. Tabonga, you're on a bit of a roll, right? Great to hear, buddy. Great to hear. I'll look at Euro CAD after my watch list as well. Okay, so we can see the obvious V reversal. We're looking for this move to the downside to be digested. Got a little bit of time, probably tomorrow, before we look at that. We could potentially look at it in the 4 hour for a breakout as well here. But again, I need that latest impulse from yesterday to be digested. I don't want to be taking a break from movements like this, certainly break of a kind of significant zone. So creating that right shoulder, creating that pullback, potential aggressive entry again, but looking for this Euro Yen to continue that trend to the downside. If stocks fall off, you're expecting that yen strength in that risk off nature, regardless of what's happening in terms of BOJ. I just think that could be a decent play if stocks do come off. Euro Yen to the downside makes absolute sense to me. Weekly as well, you got your last week a rejection bar there, looking to break through these anchors. Euro Yen to the downside would be a play that I would like to get involved in if it sets up. Kiwi dollar, big rejection yesterday. This is still on the cards. It's okay for me. I don't mind having a slight fake out to the upside. I kind of like that. We could see it come down. You expect some possible stop locations to be around here for people taking that break yesterday. But that aggressive entry on Kiwi dollar is still on the cards to continue up. You know, we look and when I say this isn't enough, and I said, well, maybe it might go without me. It could have gone without me. It didn't. But you see that a lot because I just feel that this is not enough to digest this. And this is where that patience, again, the biggest thing with trading is patience, comes involved. So we've just got to wait for a real nice entry, which if we do get it around here, or if we do get it somewhere here, Kiwi dollar to the upside is still going to stay on the watch list, regardless of what's happening right now in the market. 225, the 225 I had short. I was considering this. So I was considering this today, but as I said yesterday, this price action in here, even though we have rejected, you've got a decent rejection bar. It's not technically a hammer because you've got to have 2/3 wick, 1/3 body. We haven't really got that. We do have increased volume. It does look decent for movement down, but as an ABC, just because of how price looks, if it was like this and then we got that bar, I would have been a lot happier with it. There's just something in my gut telling me I don't like that. I'm gonna wait for potentially a breakout or possibly something up here to get us in short. But more likely scenarios, if we do come down, I'll be looking for a breakout order, something like this, little bit of accumulation before we break to the downside on the 225. Would be a possible entry for me. Hey guys, I'm at work so can't watch, but would you mind covering CAD yen short, continuation to downside and bias on the DXY? Yeah, no problem, Mark. I talked about the DXY, but I'll do CAD yen as well. So yeah, 225. I like it. I like the rejection yesterday, but need a little bit more out of it. Need a bit more out of it. And the last two are pound Swiss. Pound Swiss. Hello, mate. NM15. How you doing? Hope you're well. So pound Swiss, very similar to the Nasdaq. Again, I like the overall bias. We're in this complex corrective, albeit it ain't very nice. It's not very nice, but if you get that, you can kind of consider potentially pull back over, continuation down. Again, certainly if stocks decide to move to the downside. So from a daily perspective, there's no aggressive entry in here just yet for me. So we got our initial cup with handle, pull back, first structure, second structure, whatever you want to call it. Looking for this to come down and a break to the downside. Seeing Swiss being relatively strong. Again, this will depend on the risk sentiment and where the market wants to go. But I like the overall position of pound Swiss. Just looking to get an entry. So from a long perspective, again, you would have expected from here this to continue on, right? And we've just failed. We've seen a lot of that everywhere. Lack of follow through. We've seen that in the market. This is what happens. This is why trading right now is difficult, because of that lack of follow through. So if you're struggling within these times, I mean, let me know, whoever's watching, if you are struggling to make money, maybe you're taking a lot of break evens like myself. I think my last couple of trades have been break evens with one relatively lucky escape. But that's why, because, you know, we're in this kind of conditions where in a trending market, a flowing market, this would push on. But we're not in that. And most of the time, 30% of the time we're trending, 70% of the time we're ranging and we're pulling back. And it's not nice. It's not the best part of trading, but it's a necessary evil of the job we do. Unless you have a strategy which you employ in these times, which is obviously different. So yeah, pound Swiss to the downside on the daily, few more days to set up. The last one on the watch list today is EURUSD. So EURUSD, I think this is, depending, again, we've got another 2 and a bit hours before this 4 hour sets up. So the 4 hour seems to be pushing on. Again, I'm probably on account of that risk off nature. If we do get a rejection, we could possibly look at this as, I would prefer something like this, an ABC, up into here for potential shorts. Daily is in an all right position. It's probably not the best. I think pound Swiss I like a bit more. The other ones I like a bit more, but I put it on the watch list there just to see if we do push on. It's fine. I'll take it off and I won't be interested in it, or I won't bother with it. So I was looking for potentially something like this, but it looks as if this wants to push, okay, we take it off the watch list and we move on. So I think unless, in terms of today, I'm happy being in Nasdaq. USD SEC is probably the most prominent one. Although I do fundamentally agree with shorting USD SEC, no. But I cannot take away the technicals there and the fact that I really like them. So Euro Yen potentially for tomorrow. Kiwi Dollar got a few more days. That's possibly for next week. Same with the 225, maybe a few more days. Same with pound Swiss. And EURUSD, probably something that I'm not going to get involved in or not going to set up for me. But in terms of having one trade on, I'm perfectly happy with that. Obviously, there's a large stop loss here on a daily chart. So I've also got a positive swap to the downside, which is an added bonus. So yeah, I would like to see the markets fall because that would help this personal trade. Nasdaq shorts. Okay, Tabonga, TP1 hit on EuroCAD. Let's have a look at EuroCAD. Was that this morning, Tabonga? Did you go long? I mean, I presume you went long. Second trade up just above 3R. Where did you get in from? Where was your entry? If you're still here. You must have had a good January or start of the year. And funny enough, January for me is usually quite good. I think I had 10% last year. I think a positive percentage or a decent positive percentage the year before. But this year, you know, transition. Anyway, EuroCAD approaching that daily 200. You could get, again, dynamic resistance surprise. We have had a decent move, or a very good impulsive move up here. Yeah, we've had a few days of corrective price action. In terms of would I go long now, but if you're in the trade, just let it run as much as it wants to. Yeah, just let it run as much as it wants to run, right? Stick to your plan, trail the swings, or whatever you plan on doing, because we know what the euro is like. It likes a little bit of a climactic fake, right? Took it yesterday on the 30, great. So sometimes you see, although there's this massive gap here between the 20 and price action, was obviously the first red flag. But sometimes you often see this kind of, this kind of price action. You okay? Sorry, Megan just dropped the glass. And then I kind of fake down. But as I said, you're in it, you're risk-free, you've taken your TP. Brilliant, mate. Well done indeed. EuroCAD up. Yep. Entry was 1.448 on the 30. 1.448. 1.448. Oh, so around about this area. Around about here. Great. Good. Happy for you, buddy. Good to hear. Okay, CAD yen. CAD yen, I think, Martin. Yeah, CAD yen. CAD yen. Yeah, same. Yes. This has been I mean, this is a how do you trade this? How do you trade that? I know we've broken through. It looks it looks a little bit better, but again, you've got that impulse here. It's horrible. It's horrible markets right now. For me. I always have to say for me. So CAD yen, would I be shorting it now? Probably not. Another one coming back down from that impulsive news-related price action, following the overall trend. The daily's all right. Obviously, that is a nice daily yesterday. Volume coming in on a rejection here. 1 second. Yeah, volume coming in on the rejection here. That's a good indicator that this could potentially move or continue moving to the downside. I just worry on smaller time frames whether the move came yesterday overnight over Asia. As I said, I wouldn't be shorting here, but would I be comfortable in that pullback before continuation? Maybe. But, we've seen these, again, we're seeing these kind of climactics. You expect a lot of retail to be stopped. You expect a lot of retail to be stopped. When's it going to clean up for me and be a bit more comfortable with continuation down? Because you look at CAD yen on the weekly. Right, we look at it on the weekly. Is that extended? No, I probably wouldn't say that. It's in a decent move, and it probably does continue. From a weekly perspective. Daily perspective, it's not the nicest, but it's not bad. Bias is obviously down. It's just where you get your entry. If you got your entry up here, and if this was your kind of strategy where you didn't buy this, which I think on stream we said we didn't really buy it, then great. But do we want to be shorting down here? Definitely not. So looking for a suitable entry, if you like the bias short, would be my bias for CAD yen. And in terms of the DXY, I'll go back into the DXY actually, Martin, because I do think it's interesting where it's at. What's your guys' opinions? Where do you think the dollar is going? Weekly is good short. No doubt about it. Weekly is decent short. We're seeing a lot of this on multiple time frames involving those risk on, risk off crosses, right? Down, yeah. But what else is interesting is dollar down, index down. For the past year, we've seen it the opposite. I know you're going to come at me with news related, etc. I understand that. But if we continue and you have a decent drop today, would you think the dollar rises? Or are we seeing that yen become the kind of more theoretical recipient or strengthening up or beneficiary of markets falling? It's interesting, right? It's interesting. But yeah, this is why I like the technicals, because I can just look and not have to worry about everything else that's going on in the world. I can look at this and I say, okay, we're going down. We are, again, maybe just waiting for a 20 period catch up. This was just maybe too early for the dollar. You know, as we see on many currency pairs, right? You know, when things aren't just ready to move. So let's say you've got a decent move, you've got a very small corrective. This is where you see that lot of fakes, right? Maybe that's just what we're getting. Maybe that's just what we're getting. A slight fake out to the downside. Nope, we're not ready to short the dollar yet. We need a few more days and then we continue down. That would probably be my bias. In terms of confirmation of that, I mean, so we're 12 o'clock. So London's just about to open. This is obviously, you know, you get some decent closures here from this move up. Yeah, bias would be down. So let's see. Let's see. Right, anything else you guys want me to look at before I head off? I'm quite glad I'm not starting simplicity on right now with this market. It's pretty horrible. I would like a winner. A winner here would be really nice for me. You know, I do find, I don't know whether you guys are the same. Sometimes when you have a few months, I don't know, it's a weird feeling. I think having like 2 or 3 months where you're in a slight drawdown, and then you get to the point where it's you know, pulling teeth trying to get a trade. Not that I'm obviously forcing a trade or anything, but it would be nice to get a nice, you know, couple of hour winner to get me back up to that 170s, because then I can then look at the 320, you know, look at the next scale. Right now I'm just focusing on getting out my drawdown, moving on up, you know, a multiple R winner would really be nice. Would really be nice. So hopefully the Forex gods give me one. I think I'm definitely due one. Lots of break evens, few losses obviously, but I'm due a winner, and I've just got to trust, as I mean, Ash, you'll know this more than anyone. In the first, well, probably from what, March to June, I probably said a lot of the same things, where it's just like, I don't really know what's going on, and then I just have to trust in my data, in my statistics, that if it's not going well now, well, it ain't, you know, I mean, what's the saying I always say? I've forgotten it now. This too shall pass, right? The market is not going to stay this way forever if you are struggling. So that's it. You know, there'll be a period where you wake up, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, or where I wake up and I'm like, I like this market. I feel, you know, I feel good about potential entries. I feel good about where it is. And that's where you make your money. You make your money in pockets. And the best traders or really good traders will keep their powder dry and not blow it during times like this. So it took me a long time to figure that out. And these points were always the time, always, because I couldn't not take a trade. I was addicted. I was gambling. I could not take a trade. Every day I wanted to take a trade. So it took me a long time to learn how important it is to not take a trade, because that is a position in itself. So important. Hey, Stephen. How you doing, buddy? Stephen, I'm not sure if you're a football fan, but I stayed up last night, midnight here, to watch the Aberdeen Hearts game, and we lost 5-0. Can you believe that? That was a horrible night. But yeah, anyway, not taking a trade is a position in itself. Trust the data, correct, yeah. You're right about UK oil. Let's have a look at you. Went up after the stream for a bit, didn't get an entry, but eventually melted, or did it? Let's have a look. Oh, yeah. I can't remember what I said yesterday, Ash, about oil, to be honest with you. But That looks nice. God, I can't A, B, C. That looks all right, no? So if you said I've got a short bias, I would say I kind of like that now. Slight little stop hunt there. Potential movement to the downside. 4 hour. I mean, it doesn't have to though, right? Does it? We still have to remember recent price action is here. So if that turns into that, it may not look bad for movement to the upside. It may not look bad. Anyway, if you're not in it, there you go. Doesn't really matter, right? We just look for our entries. The bias and everything we could predict to the world's come home about. Is that the right saying? We could predict to the end of the day about what could potentially happen. The only thing that matters is when we take a trade, are we winning it? Are we losing it? What happens after 1,000 ones? And I'm not really... I would like NASDAQ to move to the downside today. I'm probably not expecting it. Interesting to see how London opened up. I wouldn't be surprised if it came up and stopped me out. But as I said, I like it. So I'll take it. Let's see what happens. Right, anything else you guys want me to look at before I head off? Appreciate you joining as always. Good to see the regulars back in. As I said, I think from next week I'll start releasing some videos, which I'm quite excited to release. I think they'll be quite interesting, but I just can't do it just yet. No, all right, guys. Thanks again. I appreciate it. I'll see you all same time tomorrow, and we'll just do it all over again. Remember, trade safe. Peace.